Have you ever seen a moment where the tables of power turn in just a single heartbeat? Stay with me till the end, because this story will remind you that life has its own way of humbling even the proudest hearts. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the heartfelt story for more life-changing tales. The restaurant was dimly lit, the kind of place where the chandeliers seemed to whisper luxury. People dined quietly, forks clinking against porcelain plates, conversations floating softly in the air. At one corner table sat Victor Reinhardt, a German millionaire known as much for his wealth as for his arrogance. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, his gold watch gleaming under the warm light. But his face carried the weight of pride, sharp, cold, unbending. The waitress who approached him was young, her uniform slightly loose, her hair tied back neatly. Her name was Anna. To the other staff, she was invisible, just another hard-working girl trying to make ends meet. To Victor, she was even less. When Anna placed his glass of wine on the table, her hand trembled slightly from exhaustion. She had been working double shifts to help pay for her younger brother's school fees. Victor noticed the tremor, and instead of offering understanding, he smirked cruelly. Switching into German, thinking she wouldn't understand, he muttered under his breath but loud enough for the nearby guests to hear, "Ungebildet Dienstmagd. Nicht mehr als eine Mies." An uneducated servant. Nothing more than an ant. The words hit Anna like ice, but she didn't flinch. She had been insulted before, but the humiliation of being reduced to nothing in front of strangers pierced her heart. She bowed politely, as though nothing had happened, and walked away. Yet behind her calm steps burned a fire Victor had unknowingly ignited. All night, he continued his arrogant display, complaining about the food, insulting the waiters, and loudly boasting about his wealth. Anna remained silent, graceful in her duties, though her heart beat faster each time she passed his table. She wanted to respond, but she knew the right moment hadn't come. What Victor didn't know was that Anna wasn't just a waitress. She was a fluent speaker of German, a student of literature, and the daughter of a man who once owned a small but respected publishing house in Berlin before tragedy struck and left her family in financial ruin. She knew the sharpness of words, and she knew that sometimes silence was the strongest reply. But tonight, fate had other plans. By the time dessert arrived, Victor leaned back in his chair, smug and untouchable. Yet when Anna returned to clear the table, she finally looked him in the eyes. And what she was about to say would leave the millionaire paralyzed, unable to utter another cruel word. Anna's eyes did not carry the submission Victor was used to. They were calm, piercing, almost as if she had been waiting her entire life for this moment. With the softest, most steady voice, she switched into flawless German, her tone sharper than the edge of any knife. "Sie nennen Michigan eine Mies," she said, her voice carrying through the hushed restaurant. "Aber selbst am Eisenbauen ihr Welt mit Fleisch und stark. Waren Manner we see sie Zerstoren mit Stolz." You call me an ant. But even ants build their world with diligence and strength, while men like you destroy it with pride. The restaurant went silent. Forks froze in midair. Victor's smirk faltered. He had not expected this waitress, whom he thought beneath him, to understand, let alone respond with such eloquence. His chest tightened as whispers began to spread across the room. Anna continued, her voice unwavering. I serve here not because I am weak, but because I am strong enough to sacrifice for my family. My hands may tremble, but they tremble from carrying the weight of responsibility, not from fear of men like you. True greatness, she leaned slightly forward, is never measured by the gold on your wrist, but by the kindness in your heart. The words landed like thunder. Victor sat frozen, paralyzed, not by fear, but by shame. For the first time in years, someone had stripped him of his arrogance, exposing the emptiness behind his pride. His lips parted as if to respond, but no words came. The diners broke into quiet applause, some even standing to honor Anna's courage. Victor, red-faced and humiliated, could only lower his gaze. The very ant he had dismissed had risen taller than him, not in wealth, but in dignity. That night, Anna walked home tired, but her heart felt light. She hadn't just defended herself, she had defended every person who had ever been belittled, every worker who had ever been dismissed as less. And she had done it with the one thing Victor could never buy: her inner strength. And as for Victor Reinhardt, he never returned to that restaurant. For the first time, he realized that money could silence many things, but it could never silence the truth. So, dear viewer, let this story remind you, never measure someone's worth by their job, their clothes, or their wealth. The heart is the true measure of greatness. If this story touched you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Heartfelt Story for more tales that inspire the soul.